The highway to Trepassey isn't easy, but the view at the end of the road has a way of making people forget their troubles. And this town has troubles.
It's very sad. It's very sad. I mean, I'm after seeing houses here, modern homes, being sold for pennies.
Everywhere Wayne Cave looks, there's the remains of what this place used to be. When cod collapsed in the early 90s, Trepassey was one of the first casualties. The fish plant closed, and 600 people were thrown out of work.
The last fish that I filled on the plant was October the 7th of 91.
You still remember the day?
I remember the day. It's the last fish I filled it.
Wow.
So we were done. The plant was done at that time.
Yeah.
Right.
How much did that job mean to you at the time?
That job meant everything to me.
A fog of uncertainty shrouds Trepassey and a dozen other towns on the southern shore.
Black day, very black day.
The fish plant has been the economic mainstay in the area for almost 30 years. Today, FPI shut it down for good.
It can survive as a small ghost town. I mean, people are going to have to leave the area if we don't get a buyer in or get some prospective buyers in the very near future.
Rita Pennell was mayor when the moratorium came down.
I don't know how a town can survive, especially a fishing town, if there's no fish.
30 years later, she's still wondering the same thing.
In that time, some of the younger people started to leave because they knew there's no future here for young people.
And what happened to the population then?
The population began to drop. It took a while, but we had over 1,600 people, and right now we just have around 480.
Just before the moratorium, there were more than 700 kids in Trepassey. Today, there's 35.
When you have no youth, you have no future, really.
But for the 400 or so people who stayed behind, the story of Trepassey is about more than just loss.
Resilience, like I said, stubbornness, stupidity.
John Devereaux's accountant told him to never make a business decision based on emotion, but John's mother, Carol Ann, says her son was never a very good listener. The Devereaux left Trepassey in the early 90s, but felt something pulling them back here about 7 years ago, back to their hometown and back to their old family business.
John called and he said, I think we're going to buy the inn from Dad. What do you think? And I said, I think you're crazy, but what do you want me to do?
The edge of the Avalon Inn has become a hub for the town. Live music, good food, craft beer. If Trepassey is going down, the Devereaux want to make sure it's not without a pint.
Yeah, there's something about it that draws you here, isn't there?
Yeah, we're a resilient bunch. Newfoundlanders are resilient, but I think Trepassey people are very resilient too.
We wrote the book.
Wayne Cave knows a thing or two about resilience. He reinvented himself after the plant closed and went crab fishing. It wasn't great, but it was stable enough to stay and raise his 4 kids here.
What was it that kept you here, though? I mean, you could have done that anywhere. What was it that kept you here in Trepassey?
This is my own. This is my own town. I wasn't born there, but I was raised there, right? So where else are you going to go and get settled in? That's good.
Yeah.
And fast cars, fast cities, more money. No, that wasn't for me.
And then there's Rita Pennell. At 85, she's still the mayor, and she's not even ruling out another term. She's seen Trepassey go from a highlight of the fishery to a shadow of its former self, but she's never stopped fighting for this place.
I love this town, and I have no intention of leaving. My family are all everywhere, but they keep coming back and forth, so I'm staying as long as possible.
What would it take for you to have to leave here?
They might have to take me away in the ambulance.
In many ways, Trepassey is the story of the cod moratorium in Newfoundland and Labrador. For every rural gem that reinvented itself as a tourism hotspot, there's many more places like this, where people resist demographics, economics, and even common sense, because their home is worth fighting for. Ryan Cooke, CBC News, Trepassey.